everybody. We are here for another episode of Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook. Hey, Kelly, good to have you.
Hello, Elizabeth. I'd like to salute,
Every
it's
time.
a tribute to all the wonderful veterans we have out there, I guess, as best as we can,
Perfect.
and
I
my
love it.
relatives that are veterans. So, yes.
Awesome. Good shout out there. So we're kind of in the midst of doing a 5-part series on how to effectively launch your real estate career and kind of how you can be the most successful at that. So previously, we've covered kind of mindset and routine, which is the first step, really getting yourself psyched up and in a place mentally where you can perform these tasks and really build your career.
Very important. And people don't overlook that, guys. That's very, very important. If you didn't listen to
Number one
that
step.
episode, go back to it, right? It's kind of airy-fairy to some of y'all if you're a high D on the disc, but go back and listen to it. It's very important.
And you probably should go back. I mean, no matter where you are in your career, you should probably revisit that step multiple times throughout.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then we talked about maximizing your CRM, making sure that is that you have one, that it's set up, and that it is organized and segmented correctly, that it's going to work for you and help you out as much as possible. So kind of piggybacking off of that, we're going to talk about how your CRM can be your piggy bank. All the
Wow, that was good. I like that.
I know, it just came to me. I was like, oh, that'll match up perfectly. But yeah, and how you can really start making money off of your CRM once you've got it all set up, and how you can really make it work for you. So, Kelly, what would be the first couple strategies to really make that happen? How would you get started doing that?
Yeah, great question. I love this topic. The database is your piggy bank, because it really is. We talked about last segment on your only sellable asset that you have as a real estate agent when you do want to retire one day, if that's something that you want to do, is your database, your CRM, right? So take great care of it. Okay, so a couple strategies. Let's dive in on this. All right, a couple things. Number one, first of all, as a side note reminder, never stop lead generating. Okay, you got to keep filling that database, that CRM, with new people until you get to the point where you have enough people that know, like, and trust you, that will continue to kick off some sort of repeatable, predictable business for you every year. But until then, lead generate. Okay, strategies. If you're paying for leads, right, which a lot of us do, and you have leads in your CRM, whether it's 10 or 1,000 or 10,000, you definitely want to continue to revive old leads. We talked last week about segmentation, right? Well, those C leads that we talked about, C as in Charlie, right? The low end of the totem pole leads, you always want to work to revive them, okay? Do never discount them, right? So you have to have a CRM that has the technology and the system to work that. Yet, you definitely want to always have a strategy in which, if you're really working hard, to contact all those dead leads through hopefully an auto dialer or some sort of efficiency tool once a quarter, okay? They should be called once a quarter, all right? And by the way, a quick little script on this is if you have leads in database, right, that are dead and old, what's the chances that they probably were on Zillow, let's say, at some point in their search, right? Whether we like Zillow or don't like Zillow, whether they're good for the real estate industry or the agent or not, is a whole nother conversation, right? But the reality is if they came in from some source in database and it wasn't Zillow, they probably were still on Zillow at some point. So maybe when you call them up, you say, this is so-and-so calling on behalf of Zillow. And I'm calling you because da-da-da, and you go into your script. If you say on behalf of Zillow, that is not incorrect, because if you are working with Zillow in some capacity as an agent, which the vast majority of agents are, whether you're buying leads or whatever the case may be with Zillow, putting your listing on their website for free even, you're still working with them, right? So you can say on behalf, and that might give you a little more validity. It might make their ears stand up and say, okay, hold on, I'll listen to another 15 seconds of what you have to say, right? And then you revive that old lead.
That's, and it's something they recognize, like,
they
right
recognize.
off the bat.
Yes,
yeah.
They probably don't recognize my name or your name or whatever name, right? But they recognize that brand name. So use it to your advantage to try to get another 15, 20, 30 seconds so you can build some rapport to have a good conversation to revive them. So it's just one of many hacks that we have here that we use that could help you with business. The second thing here, Elizabeth, I wrote down here is making sure that within your CRM or database that to make this a piggy bank, okay, to match the current leads you have in there, whether dead or alive leads, right? Warm or cold, whatever, is to match them with the appropriate properties, not parties, properties. So meaning most CRMs will give some sort of relevant score to how much a certain property you have in the database matches the lead, the buyer, the seller in your database. And if it's a good CRM, they'll say from, was basically 1 to 100, And so what you want to do is take the listing that you have. Or again, if you have a good CRM, a listing you don't have. Let's say you want to try to find a house for a buyer or just sell a house in a certain neighborhood you're trying to work. You go put any old address as if you're going to list it, which you're not, but you put it in your CRM. And so the information's in the CRM about the property. Then you hit go. It'll then spit out your top 25 buyers that you already have in your database that match that property, right? Pretty cool, right? And then you can send emails, shoot text messages, video text, call, whatever it may be, to try to reach them to say, hey, look, I got a property that might work for you, assuming it's on the market or someone's going to sell it. It's off market property, but they would sell something like that, right? Or not. Then you can say, someone says, hey, you know what? That sounds great. I'd love to maybe take a look at that property. And it's not listed or not even a pocket listing off market. Well, then maybe you go knock on the door and say, I have a buyer. Have you thought about selling? So there's different strategies you can do like that to help make your database your piggy bank.
Perfect. That's awesome. Especially, with going back to having a good CRM, and that's really going to help you maximize what you're getting out of your CRM is making sure you have a good one. And like you said, if you have a good CRM, you can really make it do a lot of the work for you by matching up your buyers, kind of automating that process. So that's awesome.
Yep.
But, this is all assuming that you have people that are going into your database or your CRM. What if someone doesn't have the money up front to purchase leads from Zillow or whatever it may be, to really kind of get those people in there and get them started? Kind of what can they do at that point?
Okay, great question. If you don't have any leads in there or very few leads, maybe your sphere or some tight, close friends, then yeah, you're right. There's only a few of the things that you can do to try to get people in your CRM to make that database work for you, okay? Number one, your phone, right? This guy right here, your Apple phone, your Droid, whatever you use, okay? I guarantee you that if you go on your phone right now, you have hundreds of contacts of people in your phone contact app on your, like I said, your smartphone. Then you go to a app that you can Google in the App Store, or just Google it first and then go to the App Store and find it. But it's called Contacts to Excel. Okay, Contacts to Excel. And what that will do is then pull all of your contacts out of your cell phone and put it into an Excel spreadsheet. Pretty cool. Once it's there,
I had no idea about that.
Yeah, then once it's there, you can then segment, because obviously if you don't know Excel very well, it can be a little challenging, but you can YouTube these videos. It's super easy. You sort and segment the spreadsheet, make there all the columns, right information, so on and so forth. Then it's very, very easy to upload that into your CRM, okay? Now, voila, all of a sudden like that, you have 300 contacts that you didn't know that you had, but you really have.
You already
right?
had, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? You can do that, okay? And we do that as part of our onboarding process with our team when a new agent joins, okay? Number two, social media, okay? Well, what do you mean, Kelly? Well, obviously, social media, there's a ton of strategies around that. We won't go knee deep on social media strategies. That's for another podcast. Right,
we could go very deep into that. But.
Exactly. But let's just say that you have those contacts in your CRM. You need to then have, if you have time on your hands, or hire someone else to do it. Maybe someone's teenager needs a few bucks on the weekend or whatever, right? But have them or yourself, you go into Facebook and Instagram, you cross-reference all those contacts you just put in your CRM to Facebook and Instagram, and you ensure that you are friends with them, okay? Anyone in your CRM should be friends on social media. Now, once you're friends with them on social media, then you develop a strategy in which you will reach out to them with a direct message through the DM section of Instagram and Facebook and then you want to take time to write up a little simple little script, simple little script that simply says, hey, how you doing, Jim? Remember me? Or maybe you're very relevant to Jim, so you don't say that, obviously, but you just say, hey, how you doing? Just want to reach out to see if there's anything I can help you out with as you know, I just got into real estate, or I've been in real estate for quite some time. I've done a really poor job keeping in touch with you. My fault. But moving forward, I'm taking it serious, and I really appreciate our relationship and our friendship. So if I could do anything for you or anyone you know of looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please have them reach out to me and keep me in mind. Something simple like that, right? And
Personal,
here's
like reconnect, right?
yeah, and here's the deal. What you do is you go to Google and you Google calendar for whatever month you're in, okay? You print off a calendar, on a sheet of paper. Then you go in there and you label on number 1, A, number 2, B, number 3rd day of the month, C, and so on and so forth until you get through the Z's, which will take you into the next month because you're probably not going to do it every day, 7 days a week. You might have a day off or two, right? Potentially. So it
Hopefully.
might take up, yeah, hopefully. But, you know, if you're
Take at
hustling,
least
maybe
one a
not.
week.
Yeah, you're allowed maybe one, okay? But yeah, you do that, and then so it could go spill over into the next month. But what that does then is then you walk into your office or your home office, wherever you work out of, and you look there and you go, okay, what's today? Oh, today's the 15th of the month. It's a Tuesday, and I have this is hypothetical, the H's. I have no idea if H is the 15th letter of the alphabet, no idea. But maybe it's O, I don't know, whatever. But point is, I know it's 26 of them, right? I think I got that part down.
Somewhere in there, that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So whatever it is, right? And then you say, oh, now you go on to social media, all your friends, and you look up all the people who have the last name that begin with O, which means you got to take a little bit of time to now group all your friends into list, okay? Again, I won't go deep on this, but the point is there's a system that if you take the time to do this, makes it very systematic and very probable that you will be able to stay in touch with people through social media and through your CRM. And maybe your CRM integrates with Facebook, right? Which is the ultimate, right? And then you can see what they're doing just by login to CRM as opposed to log into your CRM and your Facebook page, okay? So little tricks like that. And then let's not forget open houses, door knocking, okay? Very, very, very relevant still, okay? So I'd highly recommend those are free ways to do it. You can borrow some broker signs, you know, if you can't even afford the open house signs, right? Or borrow your friends or buddies, whatever, at the brokerage you work at and put them out, okay? You know, obviously on our team, we have a system for all this. We provide them signs and things of that nature when they first start. But yeah, those are free ways to put people that you already have in your world, right, into your CRM, and then based upon last week's episode, use that system that you create to then keep in touch with them on a consistent basis.
Yeah. So speaking of keeping in touch with them on a consistent basis, I mean, you want to do, you know, your touches throughout the year, but how about, I know that I've seen people do client events. Are those something that you've seen work well for kind of utilizing your CRM and the people that are in it and kind of showing them some appreciation and all of that? How do events play into making money out of your CRM?
They're huge. They're huge. And can I be very transparent with you?
Of course, always.
Okay. I didn't do this very well for the first half or 2/3 of my career at all, right? I did a couple here and there, wasn't consistent. And I'm realizing now I really missed out because we've been doing them consistently now for several years on our team. And guys, you know, I heard this a long time ago, is once your database, which becomes your piggy bank, gets big enough, it's hard to go out and be relevant to that
All
many
of those
people
people.
face to face. Yeah, you can't have coffee with that many people. You can't knock on the door and do pop buys with that many people when you get a lot, right? So I heard a long time ago, it says, you know, so what I do is I throw a party, i.e. an event, and I have people come see me, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. And so it is an investment. It does cost money, but people throw that word investment out kind of loosey-goosey nowadays, right? But the reality is it truly is an investment because if you do it the right way and it has a foundational principle of being based around referrals and reviews, then it is well worth the money, especially if you do it consistently. We now have events that we're doing that we're now labeling them the 4th annual now, or the 5th annual, or whatever, right? And people start digging that, and they start to expect it that time of year that you do that one particular event. So we do 3 a year. I mean, to start off, just do 1 a year if you have to, right? Get to 2 a year eventually. Some people do more than 3. They do 4 or even 6 or 8. But for us, 3 is the magic number because we do a big one. Every time we do it, it's a big one where we invite the vast majority of our clients, which includes our A+, our A's, our B's, and that sort of thing. But so yeah, it's a big thing. I'd highly recommend anyone to do client events.
Yeah, especially like you said, when you've got all of those people, you still want to keep that personal touch. Going back to when we were messaging our friends on Facebook and just reaching out like, "Hey, I'm going to stay in touch with you." Going from there to when you've got, hundreds, thousands of people, whatever it may be, you have to kind of think of different ways to constantly make it personal and make them feel special, and it just is harder and harder to do with that many people. So
You're right. And I bet you that our audience now is asking, okay, well, what's the system on client events? I'm so glad they're thinking that, wondering, because that will be one of our podcast topics.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, I think that we could go. I have so many questions. Like, well, how do you go about doing invitations, and like, who do you invite? How do you, how do you mingle once you're there? That kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that
Yep.
that's, we'll definitely want to cover that once we're kind of through our just getting started with real estate. Then we'll want to
Yep.
dive into all that.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
Dot,
But
dot,
next
dot.
week, no, actually, first, any other points on making your database your piggy bank? Is there any last minute things that we want to consider while making that work for us and making us some money?
No, I'll just say one thing real quick. Consistency is the magic pill. Be consistent with it. Work it the same way. And there's this old saying that says, "Time on task will beat talent any day." Okay, so you don't have to be the most talented, the most gregarious, personable person out there in the world. If you're just time on task with follow up and doing things like we just talked about today, you'll
Hmm.
have a nice piggy bank in a couple of years. A very nice piggy bank.
Especially that consistency. You don't want to reach out to somebody and say, "Hey, sorry, I haven't kept in touch with you, but I'm going to do that now,"
And then
and
not do
then
it.
and then not do it.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
don't do
because
that.
you're
Don't
probably
even
not going to
start.
reel them back in
No,
after that. So
no, don't even start. If that's the case.
perfect. Well, that was super helpful. We all want to know how to make the most money, so that's awesome. Next week we will really be kind of diving into how to manage your performance. So once you have gotten all these systems done, how are you going to kind of hold yourself accountable, right? And make sure
Yeah,
that you're getting it done and you're doing the best that you can. So I can't wait to get into that.
absolutely. Exciting stuff. I'm excited for it already.
Me too. All right, Kelly. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you all next time.
Thanks, Elizabeth. As always, I appreciate it.